Last on to India, where the western state of Maharashtra has registered 25 deaths from heat stroke since late March, the highest toll in the past 5 years, with more fatalities likely elsewhere in a country sweltering in temperatures over 40 degrees Celsius. Scientists have linked the early onset of an intense summer to climate change and say more than 1 billion people in India and neighboring Pakistan were in some way vulnerable to the extreme heat. With cooling monsoon rains only expected next month and increasingly frequent power outages in some parts of India, even households that can afford air conditioners will have little respite over the next several weeks. Many of the deaths in Maharashtra occurred in the more rural areas of India's richest state. And we're staying with the sweltering temperatures in India as environmentalist Umfon Edet joins me from Lagos. Good to have you join us. Umfon, if you can hear me, just say something, please.
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, thanks for joining us. Now, let me ask you how particularly concerning this is for you, because in a place like Pakistan, this has never happened before in over decades, to have what is now being called a springless year. This is an occurrence in India every year. And just some minutes ago, I came across a report from the Met Office in UK also predicting a heat wave in mid-May, which is this month. So how particularly concerning for you when you look at the temperatures and the spread?
It's a thing of concern to people everywhere in the world. It's not just India that is going to be suffering or seeing this increase in heat waves. Virtually almost all the countries are also experiencing it. Seen even in France. France has been a victim of the heat waves. Here in Nigeria, we are not even, in the northern part as well as the southwest or southeast, that's where that cold, but we are all experiencing it. So it just shows that every area should be concerned about what's happening there and how it can also affect us and how we can be able to mitigate and adapt, in times like this.
And it's interesting you use the word adapt, because I was going to ask you about that. Whilst I understand that this is a climate change issue, for example, some countries are now experiencing heat wave. It has never happened in over a decade, in decades. But in India, it happens every year. So this is more of an adaptation issue, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I also like it that some of their cities have come up with action plans for their cities to be able to adapt. And some of the cities have full-fledged those plans already in place, where they put the plan puts certain conditions or ways of living into consideration. Like people working outside, most of them are in the farm, or farmers, open shops, the traffic, police that is working outside, and also how the people reside in these areas, their dwelling place. So their plans, they are putting in plans to ensure that people are able to adapt well and keep living, because it's as it keeps progressing, it's not looking like the heat is coming down anytime soon. And so they have to learn how to live with it and keep on adapting to it.
And what can be done? Because again, I understand that it is sometimes local factors or domestic factors in several countries are also feeling this. In India, for example, is highly dependent on fossil fuels, so of course that also has to be contributing. But one has to find domestic or local solutions to this. For example, wouldn't that be, because again, I don't think that it is a one-size-fits-all approach in terms of solutions. I just want to ask you about that.
What can be done? It's yes, they could also move from their total reliance, if they can reduce it before moving away from it, reliance on the coal, and think of other alternative source of energy. And good to mention that Nigeria is also experiencing almost the same thing as they are, like the shortage in power supply. And so, if other alternatives of power, cleaner energy, they look into it, and let's not forget domestically, they are paying for probably um, most of the things that they provide for other countries and other nations. Like they are the highest, one of the highest producers of wheat, and even petrochemicals, drugs, and pharmaceuticals. They are, the highest producer of those, items and a whole lot. And so, yes, it's maybe difficult for them to completely stop their dependence on it, but at least reduce it and think of other smarter and less energy items to use, like like clean roof and basically clean energy can go a whole long way to helping them, live a perfect or good life.
And it is always quite sad to see that it is the rural areas who contribute little to climate crisis that always get to bear the brunt of it. Thank you so much for talking to us, environmentalist Umfon Edet.
All right, thank you for having me.
Yes,